Gail, can I use my voice, my own voice, to create memorable, outstanding presentations?
Absolutely. Actually, the voice itself, your voice, my voice, contributes 40% of the impact of your presentation. And if you are on a conference call or a phone call, that number goes up even more.
Yeah.
The main part of our presentation is visual, what we see, but when you don't see somebody, it's your voice. The voice is so important. Think about the presentation you're listening to when you're having to struggle to listen to them. We often say, oh, it's not so important. We go someplace else. Or we associate, if I can't hear you, you don't articulate well, then it's not so important. I might even think you're lying to me. I might think you don't know what you're talking about. And none of that may be so. The voice is so powerful in its ability to be able to convey power, truth, conviction, clarity, decisiveness, next steps. So let's look at a couple ways you can really do that. First way is varying your pitch and your tone. Monotone happens when we don't move the body. You or I will go monotone if we hold our hands and our bodies still for a long period of time. And then what happens, the brain takes over. So if you see somebody at a lectern or a podium and they're hanging on to the sides and they're white knuckling, often they're hanging on and they're trying to think about what's next. And at some point they pick a tone and they just speak there, monotone. It puts your audience to sleep. We want to hear engagement. We want to hear ups and downs, the tone and the pitch. So even using words like thrilled, excited, concerned, reserved, contemplative, it makes you automatically, if we're engaged, if we're present, to be able to have those different tones and their pitches. Because ultimately, a dynamic presentation is conversational. And in a conversation, our pitch and our tone does go up and down to convey meaning. We want to convey that meaning and that emotional connection with your audience. The second way to be able to pay attention to, which is so overlooked, is the power of the pause. So often we are nervous in our presentations. We just can't wait to get it over. Oh, we're done. And there's no breathing. There's no period paragraph. There's no separation of thought. To consciously pace and use our pause is dynamic. So let me give you an example. If I were to say to you, sales are up 14%. I want to thank everybody for their efforts. We've had a really wild quarter. Okay, that conveyed it. Or if I'm conscious using my pace and my pausing, I could say, sales are up 14%. I want to thank each and every one of you for your efforts. We have had one wild quarter.
Oh yeah, completely different.
Different meaning, same words, different meaning, different context. How you record it, you're much more likely to go and repeat it if I pause. Pausing says this is important. So we could do a much better job at really utilizing that in our voice, in practicing it, even when we put together those real dynamic phrases, something you really want to drive home to your audience.
Love that.
And then the third tip, which is also really important, is really think about, you want to bring your emotion, your passion into your presentation. You want people to feel you. And the easiest way to do that is to be able to tell stories or to give examples. So for example, what I just said, sales are up 14%. Okay, that's a number. But if I followed that by, just last week I was talking to several of you and you were saying what you've done to be able to make this happen. And one of you told me the story about this client, blah, 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 blah. And now I'm telling a story. And the minute I start telling a story, I go out of just the head, right and wrong, and I get into connection. So it's a really great way. Put out your message and follow with a short 3 to 4 sentence story or give an example or give a metaphor to let me feel the meaning of your message. That's really using your voice well and in a compelling way so that I will remember and put meaning, the meaning you want to give me, you're doing it with your voice. So if you start thinking about the power of your voice and you vary your tone and your pitch and you use your pauses and you think about putting that emotional level, that passion into your presentation, not only will people hear you, it will become memorable. And that's what you want. You want people to get it and be passing on that great information to others as well.
Fantastic. Thank you for those tips, Gail. That was really useful.
My pleasure. Thank you, Alex.